All right, you ready?
My nose is tickly. I'll just get the Kleenex closer in case.
Tickle, 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 tickle.
Tickle it. Okay. Burp.
You did it before me. You
I
hooker.
did. I just did
All
it
right. Shut your mouth. Just shut your mouth.
again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Strange Dead Fellows. And with me, as always, is Keith Cookus. What's up, dude? How you doing?
I tried to be really cute.
Did you?
I tried to be. I gave a very distant stare with a wink when you said my name.
Crap, I missed it because I got my notes on
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, that shows you how effective.
Well,
it
no,
is.
I couldn't see you. Why don't you, one more time.
Right?
Whew.
Like,
all right. Well, on
is it
that note,
is
our
it a
viewers have
Totino's
seen it.
pizza or is it a woman? We don't know.
I don't know. But our viewers have seen it twice now, and I'm afraid that they're just like
There's a pause button.
unresponsive now. That now they can't even think.
Pause button.
Yeah. Pause
Yeah.
button.
So what's up? What are we doing today?
Today, I am so excited. Our guest today is near and dear to my heart. Her name is Bri Welch. Bri is a survivor. She's a mother of a survivor. She is the executive director of a new nonprofit group called Optic Resources that helps those with mental health struggles in the community. She's an amputee with a passion for BMX badassery. Not kidding. She's amazing. An advocate for recovery and has had a near-death experience that she's going to be talking about with us today. Please welcome my friend and all-around badass, Bri Welch.
Yay! Hi, Bri.
Hi, Bri.
Wow, what an introduction. Wow.
I'm so excited you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, it's awesome. I was going to say, yep, we'll get you there. There you are. How are you
There's only
today?
1 pointer.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good today. Pretty good. I'm ready for this. Ready to talk to you guys, I think.
Awesome. Yes.
People say that.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone's kind of like, I think I'm ready.
So when I was 8 years old, I was having trouble, I was walking, but I was having trouble with pain. And I could walk like just down the street, and then I would need to like sit down and take a break. I didn't know what was going on, but I was having a lot of pain in my legs, and so my parents took me to see the doctor, and they found out that I had pretty serious scoliosis, and that it was actually impinging my spinal cord and the lower part of my back.
Oh, wow.
And it was serious enough where they had to do surgery within a few weeks of finding out and doing tests and things and what they were going to do. So what they did when I was 8 years old, they did a spinal fusion surgery. Well, they planned to do the spinal fusion surgery, and most people are pretty versed in what that is. Like they go in, and usually they find the part, they kind of straighten out the spine and put rods and pins, and they fuse the part where it needs to be. So that was the plan. But so they did the surgery for me, and my bones. I was only 8, and I was a pretty shrimpy little kid, and they didn't have the technology that they do now. So they went in, and my bones were too small, so they decided that they weren't going to put rods and pins in because they wouldn't fit. They wouldn't work out. Right. But they did do the spinal fusion in my lower lumbar, and they thought it was, successful. But I came out of the surgery actually not being able to move my legs or feel my legs. And so they had me go in for surgery again the next day. And so the first surgery, the next day, as soon as I could be right, because it was serious. I didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I could be stable enough after the first surgery, they needed me to go back in there and see if they could fix whatever happened.
Mhm.
And so, like, back then, like, now surgery incisions are probably, like, really small, but, like, my
Right.
incision was, like, the middle of my back all the way down, so they, like, cut me open.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so the next day, they put me back in surgery, and they couldn't go back through my back, so they had to go through my stomach, so they basically cut me in half.
Jeepers.
Yeah, so it's hard to talk about, but, so I might take some breaths here and just,
Yeah,
but
whatever you
so
gotta do, dude.
yeah, I mean,
Mm.
mhm,
Cheers.
yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. But, so they did the surgery then too, and they don't know what happened. They don't know what happened, but
They never figured it out.
yeah, I came out of a surgery, and I still couldn't feel my legs or move anything from, like, my belly button down where they did the fusion.
Wow.
And so I think they think that there was just a lot of damage to my spinal cord from already being impinged and then having to do the fusion, that something nicked it or, but
Kinda
they
like how you
actually
see with someone that'll get, like, pinned to a car accident, how they'll get pinned and that
Oh,
keeps them
yeah.
alive until you pull the car away.
right, and, like,
Like
everything
that type of
swells and
mhm.
yeah, and so they actually, they did a million bajillion tests, and my little tiny brain was already scared to do the surgery, like, I've never had surgery before, and, like,
Right,
it's
yeah.
really very scary, like, going in and having the mask on your face and all these doctors
Mhm.
and your parents can't come back with you, it's very scary, but
Yeah.
then coming out of surgery and you can't move your legs and you don't understand anything that's happening, you have all these tubes hooked up to you and, like, all these tests I had done, were very scary. They had to, like, sedate me partially for one of the tests and, like, wheel me into a room without my parents or anything, and it was like a sedation where I could, like, close my eyes and be asleep, but then I would open my eyes and be awake and aware. Have you ever seen the movie, Fire in the Sky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen that in
So,
forever.
that movie
I
still scares the hell out of me.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
God.
movie so I have nightmares, like, that experience of being in the hospital room was, like, dark and, like, they, had me in, like, a
Like when he
gown, I
was on
can't
the
breathe or
ship?
anything. Yes, and they're, like,
Oh,
sticking
Yeah.
shit.
needles in every part of my
Mm.
body, just like, "This is gonna hurt for a second, you might feel this," and they would stick, like, needles in my legs and in my hands, just all over in me just to, like and with, like, little electrodes to see if I could feel it, and if
Right,
anything
yeah.
moved. They did that, and it just felt like forever.
Oh,
Um so yeah, tests like that when you're just like 8 years old
poked
was,
and
very
prodded, and you're just, like, done. You're just
yeah,
done being poked at. You're just
yeah. I was like, they told my parents I was paralyzed, that I would never walk again. Never. Um, they and that process, like, being in the hospital, I didn't know that, my parents knew that, I don't think they wanted to tell me that, and I'm glad
Mm,
they to a degree, and I'll kinda talk about that later.
yeah.
Like, being in the hospital I was in the hospital for a few months after that surgery because they cut me basically in half,
Imagine.
and they just
Yeah,
still were doing tests to try to figure everything out, and it was, like, if you ever felt like I don't know if anybody can ever nobody can really know unless you are, like, paralyzed, like, the pain you feel,
right.
like, your nerves actually, like, fire, and because they're, like, dying. And
Yeah,
so, like, the pain is excruciating, and it's just a traumatic event, and I hope nobody ever has to go through that.
My god.
But,
yeah.
yeah.
That's like one of those when number 1, I had surgery when I was 36 on my shoulder, and I was
Mhm.
terrified just like I would have been if I was 8, it's
Right,
like
Mhm.
so I get that fear part because 'cause you're like, "Okay, but who's going back there with me? Like, who's
right.
got my back? These
Right.
people are just putting
Am
me
I
to
gonna
sleep and
wake
cut."
up during it or, like
Am I gonna be that awake and feel everything but can't
mhm,
move or talk or react?
Mhm.
Like,
yeah. Yeah, so, like, that in itself was just so scary and, very hard, but, like, through all of it, my family was my rock. Like,
Mhm.
my mom, my dad, I have a older brother and a younger sister. Like, when I came home from the hospital, like, my dad made a ramp for our front, like, so I had a wheelchair, I had to come home in a wheelchair, and like I said before, I don't know if I said this, they couldn't put rods and pins in my back, so they, actually put me in a body cast. It wasn't a brace. It was definitely plaster. Like I got to pick out, it was Bucky Badger, like all over
Yeah.
it, and like, yeah, it was plaster. And they had like a hole cut out for your stomachs and so that you could breathe. And
Oh,
they had
wow.
like, so you could go to the bathroom, those areas.
Right.
But like I was in a wheelchair flat out, and it was like an entire hot summer.
Oh, God.
And that was rough, but like I was so happy to go home.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
so happy to
Yes.
go home. And
Yep.
like my dad made a ramp for the house, and like my mom and my dad and my brother and sister made this big welcome home sign when I got in the door. I was just so happy to be home.
Yeah.
And like as hard as it was so, they were so great because they never treated me different. Like it was my birthday that summer and I was in a body cast. My dad like put me in a tire swing and like pushed me, and like we went everywhere. And I went to second grade like that. They had come home in a special wheelchair. Yeah, it was a wheelchair that had hinges on the back so it could just lay flat out.
Right.
And he made me like for school, because I couldn't sit at like a desk, like normal sit up. So I just adapted that he made like this, like, I don't know if I didn't really made it, but like those like lap cushions that you can buy now are really easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
Beams in it and stuff. I had one of those. It was like second grade,
Right.
I don't know. I think I was really scared. I can't remember. Like so much has happened in my life. It's hard to remember like exactly how I felt going to school like that. But I don't know. I guess I felt pretty okay with it because everybody made it so normal, and it was my normal life, I guess. So
Well, the
Right.
strength you would have had as a second grader to go to school like that strength alone just
Right.
I'm just being, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
That's just
That's
the
a lot.
yeah,
Because you were a baby. You
it
know?
was. But I was like, gosh, I remember not being in a wheelchair, but like I wasn't always in the wheelchair in the house. Like I would get out of my wheelchair and be on like the floor on blankets and like hanging out, watching movies, and like, and I like from a like I wasn't ever a victim. Like I'm always like what can I do with this situation? Like I would pretend to be a turtle and I would crawl around like army crawl across the floor, and my parents would shit themselves. Sorry, I cannot
Yeah.
say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can say whatever you want, dude.
She's like little fragile, like broken, like, and I would just be like, watch this. What can I could do?
You
I
gotta
think
still have fun. You're a kid, you know?
Just visualizing.
My teachers had to call my parents because I wanted to go on the swing at recess. And I got out of my wheelchair in that cast and started crawling towards the swings. Like I didn't know how different I was, or like if I wanted something, I'm gonna do it. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just the, hey dad, look at this, but you're in a body cast doing it, being a turtle.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
so great. I don't know. I guess, I mean, as a kid, we're still self-conscious and stuff, but not quite to the level of like
Being a teenager and
teenager, because
yeah.
that's like when it hits hard.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you want to play and have fun.
Those
and
are the times that
experience
make
things.
you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, those are the times that make you self-conscious as you get older.
Right.
Because those are the first times you experience the name calling or whatever, and then
Yeah.
it starts to stick. So your whole life you're conditioned to think, well, this is something I need to be self-conscious about.
Well, that's just like leading into the next parts of my life for sure. Like, like being little like that, the body cast eventually came off, and as the body, like right before the body cast was coming off, it was like a miraculous thing. Like I started feeling my toe and I could move my little toe, and I was in physical therapy like 4 days a week, if not more, doing stretches and trying to, right, because you're paralyzed, but you still need to you need to move,
Right.
and they're not, and so they're doing stretches and things, and then I started slowly gaining back. It's like I don't even know how it happened. Just started gaining back feeling, and it was like a long process.
Yeah.
And like learning, I eventually learned like IBMX. So I walk now. I learned how to walk all over again.
Yeah.
And then, but I didn't gain everything back. I have problems with my legs, and I always have. And I was in leg braces all throughout like the rest of elementary school and middle school. And that's definitely those formative years where you're like all the name calling and self-conscious, like I can't wear those cool shoes or they don't fit with my braces, and like, and just fitting in. I just was definitely a lot different than everyone else. And as much as that was cool when I was younger, it was, I don't know, why does that change in our brains? I don't know.
Right. Like at some point it changes. And I think that's a lot of that is like as we get older, we become more aware of like the societal like expectations and shit too. And that just like that pours on to like our peers as well. So then they'll just follow along with it. And that's just more shit that comes at you when you're a teenager and you don't know
what to do with it. Yeah.
We're conditioned to believe that that's something that's outside of the norm, and we become much more aware of it because we become aware of it in people that we see. You realize like, oh, that person's overweight. That person, what are they doing with their hair? Like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So as you become more aware of the shortcomings in other people, you have this mental checklist. Okay, make sure I don't look like, Joe Dirt or talk like,
Yeah.
You have that, like, I don't want to come across as this type of person or that type of person, and you've built those up and you become self-conscious for things that don't even exist.
Yeah,
That's the craziest
exactly.
part of it.
Like as a kid, it's easier to live in here with your imagination and stuff, and the teenager stuff just, man, big old smack to the
yeah. And so, yeah, like that was hard. I had good friends and things, but like going through that, like it had its moments where it was very like, I was very okay with parts of it, but like, man, I hated I hated being different and at the time, right? And it was just so hard. And then to throw it in the mix, my parents got divorced when I was 12, and that was like a whole there's a lot of traumatic stuff that happened when I was like in middle school, like 12, 13, 14 years old, like between my parents and me and my sister. It's just a lot of like complex, like
family.
yeah. But then the leg braces and just moving on from that, like my dad was really sick during that entire time too. I haven't talked about that yet. When I was 8 years old, he was also on the heart transplant list. He has had heart problems his entire life. And so my parents, like, they've been through a lot, like having a sick child, having a sick spouse at the same time, like financially and mentally, it was a lot. So as I grow to be like, I'm an adult now, I can understand. But when you're 12 years old and you're going through your own things, like everything is about you when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why did they do this to me? And so I really struggled with that. And it's more than just like being about me. Like it was just like a lot of shit that was happening at the time. So my parents got separated when I was about 12, and it was a lot of hard times, like trying to go to school and and then there was a lot of fighting between my parents, and so going there and here and there for the weekends was tough. And then I'll just go right into a weekend where I didn't want to go to one of my mom's house at the time. It was just hard. But my dad was like, well, you didn't go the last time, you have to go this time. And I guess some of the backstory too is my mom was dating an alcoholic boy. She had an alcoholic boyfriend for quite a while, and she was just a real shithead. And I didn't like. I wanted to go there to spend the weekend with my mom, and my mom had, she's now separated and trying to make ends meet, so she had to work that weekend. And I'm like, well, she's gonna be gone like Saturday. I don't want to go. But my dad was like, well, you got to go. You didn't go last time, and it's your sister's birthday coming up, and maybe you guys will do something special. So I went, and that Saturday, we had it was like April, and so it was like now getting kind of warm out, and we were so it was me and my sister, the I'm not going to say his name, but the boyfriend, my mom's boyfriend at the time, and his daughter. So I want to say the years blend together, so I forget, but I was about 14 or 15. I think I was 15. And then my sister was a year younger than me. And she, my mom's boyfriend's, the daughter was only 12. And we were washing the car. It's something we would do sometimes, and then we would get to like be big and grown up and get to pull the car into the garage. It's the cool thing. And, you can't drive, but like we want to learn, and so we're washing the car, and then this time she won. He was already pretty drunk, and it was pretty. I think it was like afternoon. My sister was in the house watching her cartoons and shows, just hanging out. And so we washed the car, and then she won. So she got in the car, he got in the car. And then I went to grab the bucket from in front of the car with those full of water and like the sponge and towels and stuff. But I couldn't reach the bucket. So I bent down in front of the car to grab the bucket, and I still couldn't reach it. So I laid down to like reach quick and grab it. I don't know why I didn't walk. I don't know why I didn't walk and grab it, but I trying to get it. And then as I'm laying on the ground grabbing this bucket, like kind of trying to get up, I heard the car start. And then the car started moving slowly, and I screamed, "Stop!" And the girl, the young 12-year-old girl, was in the driver's seat, and he was in the passenger seat. And she's 12, like she can barely reach the pedals. I'm sure did not know the gas from the brake. So I screamed, "Stop!" And she didn't know, and she hit the gas as hard as she could. And so, I got sucked underneath the car. So the car got sucked me underneath, and I was run over, all 4 tires. And it was a crazy experience because, you think about someone hitting the gas, and you like thinking about it an outside perspective, like you would think it would just happen in an instant and maybe you wouldn't remember it. But I was conscious the entire time. And it happened in slow motion. So I yelled, "Stop!" And then I heard the car go, and I saw the car go. And like I was laying like on my side reaching for the bucket, and I like flipped over on my back and could see everything underneath the car. And it felt like it just was happening for forever. I could smell like everything underneath of a car. I could smell the gas. I could smell like all the oils. And so, and then I'm under the car, and you'd think you'd like what I felt was just like intense pressure. Didn't feel like pain. It's just pressure, like, and like wind. And then I could see just like, all like the underneath the car. And then, so I'm underneath the car, and then all of a sudden my grandmother appears, and she grabs my head and she moves it. She just moves it. And then the car tire went over my shoulder, missing my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I get spat out from underneath the car. Like the car was going so fast in such an instant that it just came rolling out of the underneath the car, and then was sitting in like as in a position where I was like holding myself up and like sitting up. And I knew
you're a chief, you don't know what the hell, like,
just there's definitely feels like there's something wrong and I'm not going to move feeling. And everything around me is just very, I don't know how to explain it. Everything's just very like quiet, but something's wrong. And I watched the car continue to go, and then go through the garage back of the wall. Like it continued to go, it hit the back of the garage, and then stopped. And it felt like still like an eternity. And then I'm just like waiting, like what's next? What's now? What's going to happen? Like I'm here. I think I'm alive. Like what? Like, and then just thinking too, like what, just like my grandmother was just here. Like, what is this happening? Like, am I alive right now, or am I somewhere else? Am I dead? Am I, and nobody's moving. There's not, like, I'm just here. There's nobody getting out of the car. There's no
one's running
no
over.
one's making a noise. No one's running over to me. Nothing. And then the car door opened. Both car doors open. And then I'm like, okay, I think I'm here. And then they get out, but they just stand in the garage looking at me. And I'm at this point, I'm still conscious, and so I'm yelling for help. I'm like, someone call 911. Like, I know something is wrong.
Yeah.
And they're just staring, and I'm yelling again, like, call 911. They're just staring, and then there's no, like, he stands in the, like, the boyfriend, my mom's boyfriend, just kind of stayed there staring.
Loaded and
The 12-year-old girl, she ran over to me and, like, ran right over to me and, like, got down on the ground with me, was, like, touching me, and I felt intense, like my skin was on fire. Every time she touched me, it was like fire. Just, I couldn't. And I said, I just, like, call 911.
Yeah.
Something is totally wrong at this point when I feel like someone's touching me and I can't feel, like, their hands. Like, it just feels like fire. And so neither of them called 911. They just, I don't know if they were just in so much shock or what was happening, or if my illusion of time was just, like, longer than what theirs was. But my sister was inside the whole time, and she's the one that called 911. She was inside and she heard it and went to the window and then called 911. And then and it just, like, felt like forever, but eventually they, like, I could see the lights and the sirens coming down the road, and my mom's car coming home from work was behind them. I don't think she knew. I mean,
right,
but I mean, I know she didn't, because after the fact, talking to her, she was coming home from work and she saw the sirens and they're stopping at her house.
Right.
And she panicked. She told me and said, like, please don't be Bri. Please don't be Bri. Please don't be Bri. Like, she has 2 daughters in the home, but, like, I don't know. I guess her thoughts were like, this girl's been through so much, and, like, please don't be her. So the ambulance people, like the first responders, came in. Like, they assessed me, like, asking my name, my age, like, the main brain injury questions, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got me on a stretcher, and they had to, like, tape my eyeball shut because the pressure from everything, like,
Oh, wow.
About it. But my eyeball was, like, coming out. And I remember all this because I was hearing all of this. Like, I wished that I could have been unconscious.
Like, you were much more present than you
I
should
was
have been.
so, and, like, the fire of all the, like, the feelings of them touching me, and then just sobbing, like, just give me, like, something, like, give me, like,
Like,
put
I'm
me
thinking,
out.
like, even the process of how they got you on the stretcher, because you said you were sitting up, like, and like, not to move, and they put you down.
They had to. They had to put my neck in, like, a, like, and all that. I don't know.
Yeah.
The stabilizing brace and all
Stabilizing
that.
brace. And if I had broken bones anywhere else, they weren't able to know at that point. So,
Right.
but they got me in the stretcher in the hospital, and they had their sirens on, and I don't remember my mom coming over to me at that point, or anyone. It's just the paramedics. But they got me into the stretcher and in the ambulance. They got me to the closest hospital. So I was in Lake Mills. So they took me to Fort Atkinson, and got me into the room where they're assessing everything. And I just remember being at that point in so much pain that, like, I was just begging for them to make it stop. Just to make it stop. And they were just, like, checking every part of me. I did, like, probably 6 scans they're just constantly scanning to check for broken bones, to check for internal bleeding, and asking me every 5 seconds, like, if I knew who I was, if I knew who the president was. And I'm just like, yes, just put me out now. Like, just make it stop.
Yeah.
And then they told my parents that I was probably internally bleeding and that I needed to be med-flighted to a different hospital. And so my mom's boyfriend came to the hospital.
Oh God.
And as it wasn't already bad enough, like that.
Yeah, like the last person you need to see.
Right.
Yeah.
But then they got me in the helicopter, and I remember parts of that. They sedated me, I think, a little bit, but I remember being in the helicopter, and I remember I've never been in an airplane before or anything. It was just I don't know, that experience, like not knowing if you're gonna make it.
Right.
But you
Being
you so bad.
consciously aware of
Yeah,
your
I was gonna say you were
potential,
like way too aware of all of it.
Right.
That's horrible.
And like I think the scariest part is like you want so badly to not feel it and you want to be asleep, but you think if you close your eyes and go to sleep, you're gonna be dead. You're gonna be gone. And I wanted so badly to not be gone.
Yeah.
I wanted to live, but I didn't want to be in pain. So it was just a constant struggle with my consciousness.
Yeah.
Which is like a powerful thing, like now, like thinking about like how much we can control in our brains, like our consciousness, like but so after the med flight, like I don't remember getting out of the med flight. I remember like everything gets kind of hazy there. But they did a million more tests there, and they was that a kitty?
Yeah, sorry.
That helps.
It's a small herd of animals there, so you never know. There's 3 cats in the house, so.
But yeah, in the hospital, they determined that I had broken my spine in 3 places. So if it wasn't already like the spinal fusion stuff, I broke my spine in 3 places, broke through the fusion that I had, broke my shoulder blade, broke my pelvis on the left side, broke like ribs in multiple places because the tires went right through my body. So there was like tire marks all over me, and like I had like I felt like my head was turning, like my grandmother grabbed my head, like I had ripped open the back of my head from maybe rocks and things too. So that I don't know. My grandma was there. She saved my life. I had like yeah.
And that can add to the confusion you had too when you came to.
Yeah, when you're trying to sort out if you're there, if you're not there.
It's so quiet, and I should be in more pain than I'm in
My
at
grandma,
this current moment.
and my grandma's gone, and she's been gone for so long. So
yeah,
and that's what can just be so confusing because you feel different already.
Yeah,
everything's
you're already in
changed.
shock, which makes everything just hard to process in general. Yeah, that's a lot, so much.
And even like so, like in the hospital, like even then, like I wasn't sure, like if I was where I was. Like I knew I was in the hospital. I knew, but I was in like such a state of like in between. So they found out I had all these broken bones, and like they were still assessing if I had internal bleeding. I couldn't. They had me on like they had a tube down my throat because they were like my lungs kept like not working. So I was on like a partial ventilator for a while, and like just hooked up to everything, monitoring everything, and they were ready to like do surgery at any moment if they had to go in and like fix any internal bleeding. But they had me like probably on some pretty strong medications. But like my like experiencing that was like all the shock, the trauma that happened in my body, and like all the medications, like I was in I wasn't on the same realm as everybody else. Like I was yeah.
Kind of in a limbo.
It was definitely limbo.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were outside of it, kind of watching?
I do, and I remember seeing myself like laying in the bed, and it's just a really weird. Like I remember like watching myself and like seeing my parents talk to doctors, and like and it's just a really wild experience.
Could you still feel the pain, or was all of that gone during that? Do you remember?
No, so like I think that the mental part of it was scarier at that point than all the pain. Like I think that they had me on some strong medications, and so the pain was like kind of
a non-issue,
kind of masked, right? But then I was just like having these feelings like I don't know if I'm gonna wake up, that like weird conscious unconscious feeling where you're stuck in between. I was just like, I remember I was hallucinating. I guess I didn't know, but I was hallucinating. Have you ever seen the movie Misery?
Yeah.
Stephen King? Okay, so I was on a couch, and then someone kept coming in and putting a mask on my face to make me fall asleep, and then they would break my legs, and like and that was like extremely painful, and like I remember pulling the mask off like many times and just screaming on the top of my lungs for help. And then someone would come back in and say, shh, and they would put the mask back on my face. And that was real. Like the nurse was coming in and telling me that I'm yelling and that everybody can hear me. And like,
but in your mind, you were in misery.
I was in the movie. I was actually, it's crazy because like I was in misery for real. Like, not the movie, but like I was feeling I was in misery. And I don't know why my brain like went to that movie, but I felt like I was being held captive, and I didn't know where I didn't know what was going on. Yeah. So it was so scary. But like I think that was like the mask was like late, like they put the tube down my throat after that, I think. But then like kind of coming out of that fog and like them realizing like I don't have internal bleeding, and like I can start
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that one blows me away a little bit.
That there's no internal I was thinking like collapsed lungs, like because with the broken ribs, like
my lung collapsed, but it kept coming like I don't know. Like they I don't know if it was collapsed or that it wasn't just working correctly. Yeah. But somehow I just, I slowly kind of came out of it. They're slowing off my sedation things, and I went into recovery. And the recovery was rough. It was very, very painful. But it was intense, like rehabilitation, where that had to be like in a back brace. They fitted me for a back brace so to keep my spine together. And I couldn't walk because of the spine and because of my pelvis.
The pelvis is such, oh my God, breaking that.
Yeah. So I learned how to like kind of walk with like a walker, like crutches, to like kind of walk with just the one leg, just to, that if you're sitting for too long, like it's not good for your body, like the blood flow. So they still pushed me to like learn. I know before I could go home, I had to learn how to like transfer and go to the bathroom and like kind of learn how to do everything all over again to make sure I could do it when I got home.
Right.
So yeah. And that was an intense thing. Like my mom didn't break up with that boyfriend. Like he was still around.
Oh, Jesus, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. I was like looking back at it though, it was a really hard time for my mom too. And like she had her past things too. And it's just.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't blame her now. I don't.
Yeah. Right. Everyone's trying to deal the best way they can, even if it's in an unhealthy way.
So that same summer, and I was just telling Lindsay this the other day, that same summer, so I had the accident happen in April, and then I like started coming out of the back brace and like that summer, and like kind of being able to like put pressure on my leg a bit and like use crutches and kind of like getting through the recovery with it like within a few months. Really, it was kind of crazy how
that's insane,
fast, right?
A few months.
Then, yeah, and then I turned 16 in July. And then my dad's birthday is 2 days before mine. And so they always have like a combined little birthday thing.
Oh, that's
little bash.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Her birthdays were always together.
Yeah.
And then and my dad was really sick, and in August, I was supposed to start I was a bit behind in school, so I went to school a little later than the other kiddos with all the things with the accident and
right.
being in a wheelchair and things. But I was supposed to start high school in that's September, but my dad passed away actually that summer, right? Like a week before school was supposed to start. So
Jesus, Bri.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm here now, and I've learned so much going through all the things I've gone through. Yeah.
Man. So
Throughout that process, like what through your recovery process and the motivation you had, can you kind of tell us about that and how that led into the nonprofit work that you're doing?
I mean, let's talk about like growing up, like with like learning how to walk all over again. That like that process of like recovering was very hard. It was very painful, and like there's a lot of times I didn't want to do it. I would cry, and like my brother, like it was like a family affair. Like my brother, my sister, and my dad was there recording the whole thing, and and I would just like be on those parallel bars, like hardly being able to move my legs one foot in front of the other, just in pain and crying. And my brother comes up to me and he goes, "Bri, no pain, no gain. Like, you got this." And so just like swallowing my tears down and just like, man, I got this. And it's like my family, like I said again, my family was very all for like, you got, like they gave me so much strength.
I'm so glad that you had that support from them.
Yeah, I am too. And yeah, so I don't know, just, and then the nurses would always ask me, like going to therapy, like, how are you always smiling? How are you always smiling? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, you know, like
do you see the shit that I survived and I'm still here?
Exactly,
that's why
like,
I'm smiling.
It's always like, you can't cry all the time.
Right. I can't, like, what choice do I have? One. Like, what choice do I have? And then like, I know how shitty it is. I know how shitty it can be. And right now is like, it's a good day. I'm alive and I'm ready to go learn to walk again. I'm ready to like, I got my whole family here, my cheerleaders. I got, what is there not to smile about? Like those rainy days teach you like what sunny days should feel like.
Yes.
So definitely that got me. And like, people would tell me all the time, and they still do, like, you inspire me, like you're so strong, and like if you can do it, I can do it. And it's kind of gross because like I'm just surviving, you know, I'm just surviving. And so I'm like, I guess that people are gonna see it, and if that's inspiring, then so be it. And so yeah, like, and getting through all the other things is kind of the same idea as the other, like just being able to be strong and just and then starting the nonprofit. I didn't start the nonprofit, but I've always wanted to help people. I've always for the last 13 years I've been working with kids with autism on the spectrum. I'm a RBT, a registered behavioral technician.
Are you really?
Yeah.
My sister, my younger sister, since she was in high school, has always been drawn to working with kids with special needs, and she nannied for a little girl that was on the spectrum.
Awesome.
And that led her into, now she's like a nurse practitioner that diagnoses and helps treat kids with autism.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So just hearing you say that is like, I like seeing the parallels sometimes.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when Keith hears this,
But so like, I know like when I was really little, like having surgeries and stuff was so scary, but like the nurses and like the staff were amazing. Like they had me come in before the surgery and they show me what to expect. And they had like social workers and psychologists like on the spot always to help me. And like when I was younger, like going through all that, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. And then it just like transformed later in life to like being an RBT. And like helping kids. I always wanted to help kids, you know. It's like kind of like healing myself, like helping these kids, helping others.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut
no, tell me.
So much to say, but this was something that you had talked to me about that I thought was just so cool. That I think it was one boy in particular that you worked with, that you would bring your bike over.
Yeah.
And he just loved watching you. And didn't he want a bike of his own or something? Like,
yes, there was a couple of kiddos, but yes, there is one, and for sure. yeah, like this was just a few years ago. I started really getting into riding BMX. Who knew? But I guess we should talk too about a little bit, like you said earlier, I'm an amputee. So later in life, I lost my leg too, adding to things. And that was just a series of all the events that happened in my life, and then having another surgery. And then I got an infection from the surgery, and I was in the hospital for quite a few years and lost my leg. But yeah, like that'll be a podcast later, I guess. But yeah, I found BMX quite a few years ago, actually meeting Tony, my boyfriend, and I'm a pretty big badass. And so if I see something and I like it, I'm gonna try to do it, and I'm in love with it. And yeah, so I work with little kids, and you gotta be really creative and be really like intuitive to what they like and what they want out of therapy too. And I would bring my bike with me to work. And this little boy was just like, "You have a bike? You're like an adult. Why do you have a bike? And why isn't it like a kid's bike?"
I love this so much.
And so like, but before I brought my bike, I would like, he would come to like we would do like an ABA therapy. We do like table times where you come to the table and like teach like little teacher moments, like, right. And like he would come to the table, but he would have to work for something. Like, what do you want to work for? Like, you're going to do this work, you get a reward for working. And he would want to work for my bike videos. Like, he want to see me do
wow.
I want to see you do tricks, he would say. And so pull my phone, and he would just watch me do tricks on my phone, and he would just like come over, like, "Can I work again? Like, can I see this again?"
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Isn't it? That's why I was like, I hated to interrupt her, but it's such a cool story, and I wanted people to hear it.
I'm glad you did. Forgot about that.
Oh, it was so.
Yeah, and so like I brought my bike with me to work because he loved those videos so much, and like, and then he wanted to ride bikes too, and he's like one of those kids that like he didn't ride bikes or do any of that kind of thing, and so it was a new skill for him to learn, and I got to help teach him how to ride a bike, and
so cool.
Cool.
I mean, that changed his life. You know,
Yeah.
you think
Yep.
you hear about people doing these like amazing lengthy acts of whatever, of service, of valor, or however, and they're lauded as heroic and someone you'll never forget. But the fact that you had a bond with this kid over a bike, and that the reward was for him to watch you ride it.
Yeah.
You know, there's something special in the way that he looked at you, and what all he's learned from that whole experience. You know, it's a combo, and it's beautiful. So
right, and with kids on the spectrum, it can be really tricky to find that kind of niche of what it is that sparks interest, and for that to just be what it was. That it's just awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that little guy. He's not so little anymore, though. He's getting big.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Heckin' growing kids.
I know.
Kids.
So yeah, BMX, and I don't know. I find, and then like just going into like finding passions. Like just I'm passionate about helping kids. I'm passionate about like riding bikes, and then like things have just kind of altered throughout the years, and being an RBT. I've been an RBT for about 13 years now, this April. And I love it. I'm going to school. I started going back to school last year for psychology. So I want to learn more about the mind and learn more about behavior, and just like, just really excited. And I'm really happy I'm going back to school. Something I've wanted to do for a long time, but like with all the shit in my life, I just, dropped out of high school early.
Don't overreact. What shit?
Right?
Come on. I mean, cry me a fucking river, you know? Oh, I couldn't go to school when I wanted to. Whatever.
Yeah.
She is dramatic. Oh my God.
Oh my God, I love you guys.
I love you. Oh my God.
You might have heard I had a couple things going on.
Couple things. What's for you?
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
But
there
could be. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I've never shamed someone for overcoming multiple life-changing injuries and then deciding to go to school. And I've done that today, and I just want to thank you for taking me to that next lower yeah.
Like his bucket list.
You've opened another door for me to explore. So
oh my God.
Like, how much more of a piece of shit can you be to someone? I don't know. Here's this one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This is also another amazing thing.
Yeah.
Everything that she's been through and working with kids and everything. She's also a mama herself.
I am.
Very
mama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my daughter is gonna be 15.
Oh wow.
I know.
15 in July. So it's kind of cool though. Like, I was talking about earlier about how hard it was being a teenager and like the like sociality of like people picking on you. So my kiddo is like the coolest kid. Like
he is.
They go to school dressed like whatever they want and they don't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like
it's awesome.
I love it. I love it. My kiddo is amazing, inspires me every day. And they're on the spectrum as well. So that gives me all kinds of different insight into what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Like, gosh, the person that's pushing me the most in life is my daughter, for sure. Like, whatever I'm doing, they're watching. And I want to make sure that, like, I'm giving them something good to model when they grow up. Of course, I'm not going to do everything right. Nobody's going to do everything right. But, yeah. Time just flies so fast. Yeah. So
It's
just like
nuts.
live it, man. Live it and love it.
Yes.
Man. Anything, that's it. Let go of all that insecurity shit because it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Like, if people don't like you for you, then like they don't need them. Just surround yourself with amazing people that lift you up and you can lift them up. And
exactly.
It took me so long to learn all this stuff though. Like going through everything I've gone through, like it's just like a step-by-step process for me. Like I had to learn through all the bullshit to get to where I'm at now, So kudos to anybody that did not have to go through all the bullshit to know these things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately,
you had some significant stuff. It's any one of those things that happened to you in that like what 10-year gap.
God, I don't even know anymore. Like I'm saying, just like it all kind of like blurs together. I was worried about doing this podcast because I like dates and times and things, like everything just happened one after the other. And like talking about after my dad passed and like everything that happened after that and losing my leg, it's just like survival mode. You're just in it and you're just trying to survive, and then you don't know what date or time or I don't know, just what's happening.
Look, about a year ago, I had a really bad day at work and I came home and my bed collapsed, and that was like the worst fucking day of my year. And you're like,
I remember that. Oh no.
You're like, look, the first time I couldn't walk, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
My bed fell though.
And all of a sudden you're like, perspective. Like,
yeah.
And I think you play it down a little bit, like, here it is. I don't want to be special.
Yeah, I've been told that a lot. I don't know.
But even if you didn't come out of all of that, like, let's say you came out of this and you were just a shitty person with a lot of like substance abuse problems and hated everyone and shut down, no one would say anything because they'd be like, look what the fuck has happened.
No one would blame you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then to see how you've come out of it, I'm not saying that you're like spotless and don't deal with this shit and have, your moments at all.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, you are an optimistic, functioning human being that wants to continue to spread joy. And a lot of people would not be that after one of the things you went through, let alone 3.
Yep.
So it speaks a lot about you as a person. So I'm sure you've heard it before, but I wanted to say it just because it's amazing to me. It really is. And I'm not saying that to, sugarcoat anything or boost an ego or play polite. Like, it's amazing. And if anything else or nothing else, knowing how you came out of this, and I already know one life you've had an impact on just right from the kid with the bike,
Yeah.
You've done more than most will.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Kudos to you very much.
Yeah.
Sincerely.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, like if anything I've learned from all this too is what you said. It's like, as hard as it is to hear, like that impacted someone or it changed someone's life, just going through life and just doing what I did. Like that's part of like, now I'm part of a nonprofit that I want to give back. I want to be able to not be so afraid to tell my story, and maybe that will make someone have a new perspective, like you said, or to take something that out of that from their own life, and I don't know, make their life better somehow, or have someone to just know they're not alone.
Exactly. Yes. Because all
And
of
this
that
whole
you feel so lonely because it traps you kind of in your mind.
Yeah.
Especially when there's so much going on with your body, you tend to get stuck in here.
Yeah.
And just whatever is happening around you just kind of falls away. And it's a very weird thing, but
I mean, even indirectly, you could be doing it. Like I volunteered for adults with special needs 1 year. The softball coach, one of the best things I've ever done. I loved it so much. And then hearing you talk about your side of the nonprofit, the impact, you know, it's crazy talking about the bike. There's a story, long story short, it was baseball or softball league, right? And I was one of the volunteer player coaches and I had to go buy a glove. You know, it wasn't a big deal. The grown adult man that played in between me and the pitcher while we were in the outfield loved my glove so much and thought that it made him play better that I gave it to him and used one of the loaners, you know. And it's, to me, it's just like, yeah, buddy, here you go. If it's that big of a deal, we're out here. But to him, it was huge, just like that bike. So you never, you know what I mean? You never know the impact. And if you talking about that has made someone want to volunteer, you've indirectly affected their life, and then that's just going to continue to carry on to whoever they help. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's
the ripple effects that you have no idea that you were even a part of.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Like I have no idea how many, with the ripple effect of people that you've helped, and just like that the podcast that you did, the interview, was that last year?
Yeah, it was last year. R.L. Osborne.
Okay.
And his son. Yep.
When I watched that, I was so proud of you, because I know how we've both talked about PTSD and how hard that can be and everything. And when you came out with that and told your story, I knew how big of a deal that was for you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's so awesome to see how much you've grown just in the time that I've met you. Like, I just adore you. And now we're gonna cry again.
I don't have words right now. Yeah.
I will say there's one thing that I have been kind of unclear about throughout the whole thing. How do you guys feel about each other?
I hate her.
Yeah, the worst.
Yeah. She sucks.
That's kind of what I was picking up on. Like, give me a heads up before we interview someone that you've got a bad history with, so I can.
Yeah, that's my bad.
I don't like being caught off guard with shit like that.
Right? It gets a little awkward and uncomfortable.
The one who's going to school all late and shit, and hey, I'll tell you this. I went back at 34.
Yeah.
And my brother's 10 years older than me. He just turned 50, or he's about to be 51. And he went back and didn't finish until he was 49. And it's
never too late, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you just, the timing is always right for people. And you could have been a little preoccupied with some stuff.
Maybe.
Just to follow the normal timeline. So,
a little bit.
You know, I don't want you to like use it as an excuse forever or whatever, you know,
Right.
but
Right.
It's an excuse for it.
I get it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my God. Something that's cool that I was just remembering was it just this last Christmas when it was either like Airwalk or Vans or
Oh
something.
shit! You
Made
remember?
special shoes for you.
Oh shit! So
What?
Yes,
yeah.
it's amazing.
So like my whole life, like I was talking about fitting in and stuff, like having braces is so hard to find shoes that fit, let alone that are cool.
Yeah.
And like that was always a struggle. Like I remember just being like a teenager and just crying because like these shoes don't fit and they're ugly and like bleh, you know.
The solid black, like mid top.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But yeah, whatever. I got through that, and then like, but it's still as an adult. Like I have my right leg is my amputee leg, so I have that side, and then my other leg, thank goodness I still have, but I still wear a brace on that leg. It's not as like chunky and like maybe I'll show some pictures. We can put some pictures here of like kind of what they look like. But yeah, they're not as chunky. They're not as chunky as they are now. They're sleek and they kind of fit better in shoes. But I can't. So my prosthetic leg, I can't. It just stays at 90 degrees about. I can't bend it. So like putting on a shoes is tricky that way. I'd have to like unlace them all up and like kind of get them in that way. And the same with kind of the other foot. Like the brace kind of stays in the shoe, and so it's at like a 90, and I have to slide my foot in through it. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
But so riding BMX, I stick with the Vans. They have that cool pattern on the bottom. It looks like kind of like a waffle, and it's got like a little like like kind of like, so I have pedals on
waffles and diamonds.
Waffles, exactly. But so being an amputee and also like having a brace on the other foot, I can't feel the pedals necessarily.
That's what also blows my mind too.
Yeah, so I'm doing all these maneuvers around the bike, but like
you can't feel
it. I can't I can feel the pressure, but like I can't feel them. And so a lot of flatland, which is what I do for BMX, they have like pedals that are completely flat. But I have to do like I can't do that. I'll slide right off them.
Right.
So I do the Vans waffle grip and then like the twisted Odyssey pedals, because they have like the little like
the spikes
in them a little bit, and they stick right to the waffle pattern that keeps me on my pedal. And but I really like
about those the shin killer
bicycle, definitely not those.
You know the ones I'm talking about that have like
I know what you're talking about. They're like bear claw, like
not that bad.
Not those. Okay.
No.
Oh,
mine are like plastic and they have like little like grip, little tiny spots in them that kind of just
grooves.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So those are the only thing that I can get like to keep my feet like on the pedals really well, that like, stick to it. And like I really love their high tops because they look cool, and because like for ankle support for like the brace and things, they're amazing. But getting in and out of those things is a nightmare. Like I have to completely undo all the whole laces and like use like a shoehorn, and like having multiple different kinds of shoes for me is not something I do. I can't like changing shoes. I'm afraid I'm going to break a brace, and those braces that I get for my foot is very expensive. And so I usually just leave the brace in the shoe. But a lot of BMX riders like will switch shoes just for riding. And so I don't know, I just was frustrated. Like snow, we live in Wisconsin, like wearing boots is hard, like switching in and out of shoes to boots to like riding shoes. I just wanted something that I could use. So I made a post on social media, like the struggle is real. You know, I'm finally going to tell everybody like the struggle. And then a bunch of people responded. It was wild. And someone actually talked to a shoe company and got a response. And that shoe company happened to be Vans, the only shoe that I wear.
Oh, it's so amazing.
For like 6 to almost a year, I was talking to the Ryan from Vans, like the head guy, and we created a shoe. And now I have a shoe that I can get right into really easily. And they actually sent me 10 pairs.
Yeah.
They'll have shoes for freaking ever.
So awesome. So
Should I go get the shoe? Should I show you guys the shoe?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, let's
I'm
do
gonna
it.
grab the shoe. Okay, so they sent me 10 pairs of shoes, but they were really cool. And that was amazing. But they sent me 5 pairs of one color and 5 pairs of another color. So like I'll have
You can.
So for my riding shoes, I do one of each. So
Uh-huh.
it's really cool.
That's awesome.
So like this is the design. Like
Oh, that's
okay.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so this butterfly is really special because Kim Classic from Women of Freestyle, she like basically started like recognizing women for riding BMX. This is her design. It's like sprockets like in a bike. And then
Yeah.
and it's a butterfly.
It's
So that's her design.
Really cool.
And then I love the colors, like the shoes. But
Yep.
like
Is that a burgundy or a purple?
It's like a burgundy.
Yeah, burgundy maroon.
And then this is like the magical thing right here. Oh, my camera's kind of flipped. This
The
is
zipper on the back.
Yes.
So rad.
I'll show. Here's the black
So you
one.
can just slide in.
And I can just. This is my brace that I wear now.
Uh-huh.
And then like it just stays in there, but I can just like take it out
gosh.
so easy and just slide it out.
That's
and then
cool.
my prosthetic leg too, just slide it in and out. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know how lucky I got there with having someone from Vans like help me design a shoe. Like these things are beyond like my dreams could ever.
Right.
Just being able to like put it out in the world, like manifest something and for it to come back and like it's not even just that, but like the people, like one of my friends, like I care about you and I care and you're doing such amazing things and I want to help you. Like let me reach out to somebody and see what I can do. And like
that's where the internet is amazing.
It is.
Where like
the only reason
all of a sudden these connections just happen and
it also makes you wonder like how big of a player is karma. Because I mean, you think about it, they were like, we're in debt to this one, guys. Let's do a couple things here and there. You know what I mean? Like we screwed the pooch a couple times. Can we at least get her some fucking shoes she can ride a bike in? Like
let's get this girl some fucking shoes.
She's not asking for the lottery. She's asking for some goddamn shoes. Like we can pull this one off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they, you know, I think it's amazing. Yeah.
Is Vans going to, do they have that as an option for other people with braces and stuff?
That's the big question. I know I asked like a lot of people about this because even Tony and Chloe, my daughter, really want these shoes too, just because like when you wear them, they're like, these are my mom's shoes. Like, you know? And so other people have asked me too. And so I haven't got a response back about that yet. But I want these shoes to be accessible to anyone like me too that has braces or so I'm hoping I'll keep you guys posted on that. But definitely something that I hope to. I know like the zipper design was something that Vans had once, but it wasn't exactly in the back. It was kind of like on the side. So it was kind of like a design they already kind of had, but
it was one of those like off center like
Oh, I gotta show you this part too. This is the coolest part of the shoe. I mean, it's all really cool. But like, it says "Go
Gadget Bri." Yeah.
Because like when I do stuff, I always say that. Like my friend Sam said it like once too. The Go Gadget Bri, and I'll be like Go Gadget Bri BMX leg, Go Gadget Bri nonprofit leg, like go. Yeah, so cool.
Well, Bri, thank you so much for being here with us today and telling us your story. It was incredible and intense and kind of heartbreaking to listen to, but amazing. And the fact that you shared your NDE for the first time with us, I'm honored. And
was this the first time?
This was the first time.
Oh, damn, Bri.
Yeah. So,
good job. Seriously, you did awesome. Thank you.
It's you've made such huge progress and it's awesome to see. And I can't wait for other people to get to hear your story too. And I love you.
Oh, I love you. Thanks for having me on and letting me talk.
Yes, of course.
I want to
Anytime.
know how many times y'all have said I love you in this damn recording. I think that's at least 6.
He's just
I'm
So
not,
true. It's so true, though.
I know.
no,
Yes.
I'm not jealous. I'm fine.
Oh, you're jealous?